What made you quit a job on the spot? Nothing dramatic. After working my ass off during the pandemic and promised an additional bonus, I received a low performance review conveniently timed the day before my bonus was to be paid. The low performance feedback cancelled my bonus. Given all the other bullshit I was putting up with, I broke and quit. I had a nice month off and my new job pays significantly more. Never work for people that don't appreciate you. There are always others that will. You've got to quit every couple years to get a raise at this point. Companies would rather hire someone for cheaper when you quit than give good workers a raise. I used to cut grass in a cemetery. I used a push lawnmower and had to lift it up onto the elevated graves, and then back down and onto the next one, over and over and over. Minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. After an hour of cutting grass in the August heat, I sit down for my break, and this guy named Leroy asks, "Was that worth $4.25 to you?" I quit the next day. Thanks, Leroy. Was Leroy a ghost? Dead Leroy Brown. Deadest man in the whole damn town. Asked for a raise and was told okay. Next morning, Friday, I was told by the same person who agreed with the raise that I should put a few more years in and then we'll talk again. Locked my toolbox at the end of the day and called a tow truck to pick it up. Shop manager was shocked that next Monday to find an empty spot where my tools were and couldn't understand why I left. You are braver than me. I was told I'd get a raise and stuck around waiting for it for 6 months before finally jumping ship. This was after 4 years of my career with no change in pay whatsoever and consistent, good quality work. Now I advocate for myself. My grandfather, who I considered like a father, passed away after a long stay in hospital. We were closer than he was with his own kids, and our bond was quite special. I spoke to my manager about getting the day of his funeral off, since I was organizing part of the arrangements, and having a day or two of bereavement leave, and he agreed. The day of the funeral finally comes and the staff start calling me, leaving me messages asking why I'm not at my shift, and telling me, while I'm in a suit hosting family members at the funeral home, that I have to find someone to replace me or face repercussions. Needless to say, I told them to figure it out, and never looked back. Similar thing happened to me. I requested the day of my grandma's funeral off, got it approved, and as I was getting ready to carry her casket I got a barrage of texts asking where I was and being told I need to find somebody to go in. I told her sorry, but it wasn't my problem anymore, and let her know I thought it was incredibly disrespectful for her to keep pushing about it. Walked into the interview. Everything went well. Accepted the job offer. Went to the front desk to do the paperwork and noticed that the contract had a different pay amount, and that I would be interning for the first month for $100 a week. I asked first about the amount difference. Was told, oh, this the standard contract. It just hasn't been updated for your specific offer. I told them they'd need to edit and initial the changes before I would sign. That's not how things work here. I thanked them for their time and left without signing anything. They called me back on the day I was supposed to have started asking where I was. I told them because didn't sign the contract. I was never an employee. Oh boy, that was a fun call. So they expected you to work even without a signed contract? Even bigger red flag. Good thing you avoided those exploiters. Worked for a privately owned bakery for exactly 1 week. The owner's son comes in. Walks past the counter and into the bathroom. He comes out a few minutes later without acknowledging me or my coworker. Gets into his car and drives away. We both looked at each other, then opened the door only to find this guy literally shit all over the toilet seat and the toilet paper holder. I called the owner, told her what happened, and she said to deal with it. So I asked my coworker if she wanted to clean it up because I wasn't going to. She declined and I told her I was walking out. She did as well. We locked up the store and told the owner we quit but would reconsider staying if her son came back to clean up his own mess. She yelled and berated us for 20 seconds before I said goodbye and hung up. Jesus Christ, that family must have some crazy mental issues. He was 22 at the time and I'm pretty sure he had a drug problem. When I started working there, he was an employee for a day or two before his mom came in and told him to leave after finding out he was taking money from the register. I think on that day he had enough and decided to do what he did to get back at her. My co-worker and I were caught in the crossfire and bailed out of that situation fast. Not me, but a middle-aged tradesman where I work. I work underground and it isn't for everybody. Terrible environment and whatnot. This particular individual starting working and after a few weeks decided that it wasn't for him. Bad conditions and hostile supervisor. He approached the boss at the morning meeting and told him that he wasn't going underground and that he was quitting. The boss told him that he had to give him 2 weeks notice, and without missing a beat the guy replied, "For the next 2 weeks you're gonna notice that I'm not here." Turned around, packed his shit and left. Was never heard from again. Man, that's a great line. I'll have to remember that. Once as a teenager at a new job, I got my hand smacked by the owner the first day because I was writing with my left hand. Walked out. Where do all these shithead managers get off trying to rule over others like this? The fuck is wrong with them? Most people in management positions got there just from being at the company a long time and rarely have any actual leadership abilities. Since they struggle to get people to follow them, they become overbearing micromanagers because they feel insecure. I got mugged on a delivery for Domino's and came back to the shop crying and panicked. Had my phone, wallet, and pizza taken. Told my manager what happened. Anon. "Are you hurt?" "No, but I lost my phone and wallet. I need to call the police." "No time for that. Here's your next delivery." It was like 2 blocks from where I was just mugged. I just went home. The police never really did much to get my phone and wallet back. Not like they could. I wonder if people like them ever hear themselves and think, "Huh, maybe I shouldn't be such a piece of shit." Like, honestly, where do these dickhead managers get off? Question mark. In my job, the employee always comes first. No matter how important you think what we're doing is, it really isn't. And someone's life, health and happiness will always be more important than any results. Which, if the employees are happy, you'll get. Contented employees produce. I had a boss scream, "This is a dictatorship and I'm the dictator," in a meeting while slamming his fist on the desk. Seriously? That's sad. Like really pathetic. Damn. Yup, grabbed my stuff and rolled out. Dude can keep his sad little kingdom. I worked at McDonald's when I was 16. We used to get a free McDouble hot and spicy with a small fries and drink for our lunch break. One day when I went on break, the franchise owner was there, and when he noticed I asked for cheese on the hot and spicy, he attempted to make me pay for the whole meal because cheese wasn't free. I thought he was joking, so I laughed and started walking towards the break room until he yelled at me not to walk away from him in front of customers and my co-workers. I couldn't believe it. This grown-ass successful businessman was hounding a 16-year-old for a slice of cheese. Told him I wasn't gonna pay. Put the food down and walked out. They tried calling me to come to work that weekend. I told them no thanks and never went back. Mayo, it's a great story in the end. Getting reprimanded for not pushing a patient into getting a dental procedure he didn't need or want. As a guy who broke his jaw horribly 20 years ago and had to have extensive dental work done. Thank you. After the dentist who put my mouth back together retired, I had a hell of a time finding a dentist who didn't look at the x-rays of my teeth and see dollar signs. I get a job at a restaurant. First day I show up and the heat is broken in the dead of winter. It was like 35 degrees. I ask the cooks if it's always like this, and they say yes. I walked immediately. I've worked in the opposite kitchen, where the AC was out, and the oven door was broken. So it remained ajar by 3 inches while we baked pies, biscuits, bacon and whatnot. Standing in a hot kitchen for 8 hours in those sweatbox conditions was awful, especially cooking at the stove with that broken over door at my legs. I started showing up in shorts and was told it was unsafe, that you could splatter hot oil on your legs. I walked out of that $4 HR job. I was 18 on my lunch. A drunk manager came in the break room, asked me a bunch of invasive personal questions, and when I was curt and evasive, she exited the room, closed the door, and announced to the office, What a bitch. Gathered my stuff and walked out. An assistant manager followed me out and tried to block my car from pulling out of the parking lot. I pulled around him and left. Heard later that the story going around the office was that I almost ran him down in the parking lot. Not even close. What the fuck did he hope to accomplish by blocking you in and preventing you from leaving? Other than committing a felony? No idea. I pulled around him and sped off. Being tripped over carrying plates. By staff or guests? By the owner. Wow, this is exponentially worse than the expected. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Reddit videos.